I don't feel much pressure at all, just about $175,000 worth of pressure. Can I say, seriously, that is one of the most impressive things that I've seen in my political career. There are quite often industries who say they want us to do something as politicians. They push us to do stuff, and then when we say, well, can you back it up, or are you prepared to give us a hand to do it? They're not prepared to put their hand in their pocket. And seriously, I really get how strongly you feel about this, and that was reinforced so many times over as I saw your hands going up tonight and making those pledges. It's not so much pressure that I feel, it's a responsibility to ensure that you guys get a fair deal out of the process. Now, you may be aware that as an opposition, we've elevated this marine parks area to the level of the leadership. Tony has taken a specific interest in this, and the policy that we drafted was released in Mackay a couple of weeks ago. The essence of what we're saying is that we're going to put the process on hold, we're going to stop the process, and we're going to give the fishing industry a seat at the table as part of the decision-making process. So rather than turn up to meetings and being told what's going to happen, we're going to put you guys in the game, along with the recreational fishers themselves, the commercial fishers themselves, representatives of the environment movement. I know no one has a problem with that. We're going to set up bioregional planning panels around the country, and each of the bioregions that are being considered, we're going to put all the science on the table. Nothing hidden, nothing out the back. We're going to put all the science on the table so it's open for everyone to have a look at. And at the end of the day, when we get to a decision-making process, the Minister for Fisheries will have part of the sign-off, not just the Minister for the Environment. So you have someone advocating for you as a part of the process when it gets to the political decision, which it is. The final decision on the makeup of the marine areas is a political decision. It's made by the Minister, and at the moment that Minister's Peter Garrett. But under our proposal, it'll be made by the Minister for the Environment, but also the Minister for Fisheries. And also, in designing the displacement policy, which means what the cost is going to be, we'll do some pretty extensive socio-economic modelling so we get a good sense of how far this reaches into the community. Now, I sat and did some quick figures on the impact of the boating and fishing industry, and we've heard discussion already tonight about the impact on tourism. 10.3% of Australian overnight stays are generated by the boating and fishing industry. So 10% of our overall tourism industry. $5.5 billion of expenditure on holidays in 05-06, which is the latest figures I could find, and it would have increased by then, come from the same sector. 28,000 direct employees just in boating, and 3.5 million people, 1 in 5 Australians, enjoy putting a line in the water. So it is a huge slice of the Australian community that enjoys participating in recreational fishing. And quite frankly, we as governments should take notice of that. An estimated spend of $9 billion a year. I mean, they're huge numbers. They are huge numbers. And why wouldn't you be taking notice of that? Why wouldn't you be taking notice of that? Since I've been Shadow for Fisheries over the last couple of years, and particularly since Minister Garrett made the decision to ban mako shark fishing in November, December of last year, I've got a really good first-hand understanding of how passionate you guys are about fishing. The efforts of the recreational fishers, particularly in the southern states, Tassie, Victoria and southern New South Wales, who formed panels of people to ring Tony Burke's office, Peter Garrett's office and the Prime Minister's office to tell him how pissed off they were about the banning of fishing for mako sharks. was quite something to see. It got so bad that Peter Garrett couldn't get any other incoming phone calls, and the phones were spilling over onto the Parliament House switchboards. You guys got the message through to him that there was a problem there, and when 500 fishers turned up on in the car park at the Torquay Fishing Club, the local member down there in Corangamite got the message too, because that was a third of his margin. He's got a 1,500 vote margin, and 500 of them were standing in the car park, and a lot of them were his people. They weren't necessarily our people, they were his people. Can I say, Paul, you said one of the most profound things tonight when you said that you need to stick together. You are spot on the money, absolutely spot on the money. When we, in government in 2005-06, put the marine protected areas around Tassie and the southern states, southern New South Wales, Tasmania, Victoria and into South Australian waters, the first thing that the fishing industry in Tasmania decided to do, the very first thing that they decided to do, was that nobody would agree to anything until everyone was happy. Nobody would agree to anything until everyone was happy. And they ended up reducing the impact on the industry by 90% by sticking together. It would have been so easy for one or other of the fisheries to move out and say, I've got a deal. And you've seen that happen recently where 3 companies decided to sign up for the mining tax and left the rest alone. It would have been so easy for a couple of them to move out, but they all stuck together, and they, through a good ministry in Ian Campbell at the time, I have to say, got a really good outcome. And so Paul's right on the money when he says you guys should all stick together with the commercial blokes. You don't need to be having a dust up with them, and I know that there's tensions there, and they complain about tensions the other way as well. But if you all stick together, you can get a good outcome, and with a seat at the table, which is what we're offering as part of this process, you certainly can get a good outcome. The thing that's disappointed me over occurrences over the last couple of years is the fact that there's been decisions made through consultation only with the ENGOs. The emergency listing of the Coral Sea was done on the recommendation of one organisation, the Pew Foundation. The rest of us found out about it an hour before the announcement. And that is just not on. There's been a number of other decisions that have been made the same way, and it is not a good way to govern, particularly when there was a process to consider all those waters anyway. They were being considered as part of the Eastern Region bioregional planning process. So why there had to be an emergency listing over that area, nobody that really thinks about it can understand. The lock-up mentality is something that I think is yesterday's mentality. We need to be looking at managing our entire landscape and areas of water sustainably. And I know that's the very, very strong message that comes through from the recreational fishing sector. It's been put to me at every single meeting that I've conducted and participated in around the coastline over the last 6 months or so. The mentality is that we're all rapists and pillagers and we can't be trusted with the environment. Well, that is not the truth. And I think that the message that's sent out through our fishing shows, through the fishing magazines and through the general practice. I know that in Tassie I'd rather get caught by a bailiff than I would by a bunch of fishermen if I was taking fish the wrong way, because I know how I'd come out worst off. The blokes who want to look after their fishery make sure that they do look after their fishery. We've got a great message to sell, and I say we because I still enjoy my fishing. We've got a great story to tell, and I think that with some common sense and some genuine consultation, where we all have a seat at the table as part of the decision-making process, we can get a good outcome for the fishery and for the environment. And that's what I'd like to be able to put into practice following next Saturday. Thanks very much for the opportunity to be here.